What are your favorite spiritual, philosophical, or just self-help books that made an impact to you on your journey? Help! I'm wondering what books you have read that have had a positive impact on you in your awakening journey, especially if you still implement what you have learned today. Even if they are not spiritual in content, I'd still be interested to hear of any book that gave you a eureka moment or actually changed things for you in a good way. Plant Intelligence and the Imaginal Realm by Stephen Herod Buhner. Primal Myths, Creation Myths Around the World by Barbara Sproul. The Cosmic Game, Explorations of the Frontiers of Human Consciousness by Stanislav Grof. The Way of the Psychonaut Volumes 1 and 2 by Stanislav Grof. Trivium and Quadrivium are both good, they have modern versions of it put out by Wooden Books. The Essential Mystics, Poets, Saints, and Sages, A Wisdom Treasury by Richard Hooper. The Structure of Magic, Volume 1 and 2 by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. Breathe, a Thich Nhat Hanh Journal. Cosmos and Psyche, Intimations of a New Worldview by Richard Tarnas. Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Life by Marshall B. Rosenberg Ph.D. Consciousness, A Very Short Introduction by Susan Blackmore. Your Brain is God by Timothy Leary. Courageous Dreaming, How Shamans Dream the World into Being by Alberto Villoldo Ph.D. How Can I Help? Stories and Reflections on Service by Ram Dass and Paul Gorman. Also, I'd recommend reading at least 2 or 3 translations of the Tao Te Ching. It's only 81 short poems basically, so you could read all 3 in one day if you wanted. The I Ching as well was fascinating.
Plant Intelligence and the Imaginal Realm by Stephen Herod Buhner. Primal Myths, Creation Myths Around the World by Barbara Sproul. The Cosmic Game, Explorations of the Frontiers of Human Consciousness by Stanislav Grof. The Way of the Psychonaut Volumes 1 and 2 by Stanislav Grof. Trivium and Quadrivium are both good, they have modern versions of it put out by Wooden Books. The Essential Mystics, Poets, Saints, and Sages, A Wisdom Treasury by Richard Hooper. The Structure of Magic, Volume 1 and 2 by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. Breathe, a Thich Nhat Hanh Journal. Cosmos and Psyche, Intimations of a New Worldview by Richard Tarnas. Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Life by Marshall B. Rosenberg Ph.D. Consciousness, A Very Short Introduction by Susan Blackmore. Your Brain is God by Timothy Leary. Courageous Dreaming, How Shamans Dream the World into Being by Alberto Villoldo Ph.D. How Can I Help? Stories and Reflections on Service by Ram Dass and Paul Gorman. Also, I'd recommend reading at least 2 or 3 translations of the Tao Te Ching. It's only 81 short poems basically, so you could read all 3 in one day if you wanted. The I Ching as well was fascinating. Pretty much everything Stan Grof has ever produced is worth checking out, but The Cosmic Game is just on another level.
Man, I read that book a couple weeks ago after hearing a few people gush about it. I thought it was kind of It's a cool story. I like learning about WW2 and Nazi Germany and history, and psychology and philosophy. The book was only average for me though. I had been reading like almost strictly Buddhist-type books for the past couple years, and I wanted to branch out a little bit and get some diversity. I had read Flight of the Garuda by Keith Dowman, and I feel like that book blew my mind a little bit. So I guess it's kind of hard to follow that up. But I was disappointed with man's search for meaning. Each his own though. Maybe I missed something and I should try to give it another chance someday. I'm back on my Buddhist bullshit though. I got The Joy of Living by Mingyur Rinpoche coming in a couple days now. A Course in Miracles, ACIM. It was the first book that helped explain what I had experienced internally in a way that was comprehensive, understandable, and practical. It has also acted as a Rosetta Stone for understanding other religions and philosophies, especially non-dualistic ones, since ACIM is non-dualist at its core. ACIM has changed my entire life. It has enabled me to grow closer in remembrance of my true self, to be more present in my daily life, to release trapped emotions and mind confusions, and to keep a more peaceful frame of mind more often than ever before. If anyone enjoys the works of Eckhart Tolle, then they may enjoy ACIM because it is the foundation of most of his teachings. Other remarkable spiritual books, all essentially non-dualistic. Tao Te Ching. I and Thou, Martin Buber. The Divine Within, Aldous Huxley.
Easily, Perfect Brilliant Stillness by David Carse. Think I've listened to the audiobook 5 times now. It's narrated by Terence Stamp, every page just contains absolute clarity on nothing. Something different seems to resonate each time. Definitely my favorite book of all time. The flute does not know music, it does not know G from B flat, it does not know tempo or emphasis, and cannot make music come out of itself, it's just a hollow bamboo stick with holes in it. It is the musician who has the knowledge and the skill and the intention and the dexterity, and whose breath blows through the instrument and whose fingers manipulate the openings so that beautiful music flows out. When the music is ended, no one congratulates the wooden stick on the music it made, it is the musician who is applauded and thanked for this beautiful gift of music. You are the flute.
I have read many good books in my life, but the one that was a real turning point was The Disappearance of the Universe by Gary Renard. I read it for the first time in 2010 and since then I have reread it several times. This book led me to the spiritual teaching called A Course in Miracles, which, properly understood, is an amazing spiritual marvel. But not everyone grasps the non-dual essence of the Course through their seemingly Christian language, so reading The Disappearance of the Universe first can be a great introduction before moving on to the Course itself. I am still practicing this teaching and it has allowed me to continue my life in a fairly stable inner atmosphere of peace.
The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Parts 1 and 2 by Drunvalo Melchizedek. They are what got me started. Just Google them. That's where the flower of life came from in pop culture today, though it's been around forever. And also this website even more so tbh. It looks kinda old and I wish that it was more updated, but I found it around 2010 or so, but it's amazing. It has given me the most understanding out of anything, and coupled with knowledge of sacred geometry has been the strongest source of direct spiritual understanding and learning in my life. And if you like to read, this is something to read. Along with this video about how the 10-dimensional universe works, though TBF it's hard to tell the difference between 5 and 6 for me, but the rest make potential sense. You can also find every dimension described as its own video, and I've emailed the guy who came up with it before. He's really nice and cool but likes to keep to himself these days. Probably thinks I'm a little too in the spiritual TBH, but he's not far off either, lol. And OMG, this video about universal laws, whoever recorded it and did the visuals is a freaking Saint chef's kiss. You don't need to watch, just listening is fine, like an audiobook, but the visuals are super helpful and nice. There's also What is Enlightenment? It's a quick 5-minute that can help remind us what enlightenment actually is if you've forgotten or just want to know what it actually is. And of course, anything by Alan Watts. He wrote tons of books and things but also made so many recordings and has such a great way of pontificating about reality and consciousness that's always great to read and listen to. These are all just pieces of the puzzle that have fit together with me and work better together than apart. I think the best thing we can do is learn as much as we can from as many sources as possible. Even if you only check out the 5-minute video though, it's better than nothing. We all do what we think is best, smiley face.